class live only. We can start. Pen. Good morning. In the previous class, we were discussing about the wind system, right? So we divided the wind system into two parts. Yes, what? One is the surface winds, the other is the upper tropospheric winds. And when we divided the surface winds, we got three types of winds. One is the planetary winds, which we completed in the previous class. Next we have seasonal or regional winds, and the other is the local wind. So when we divided the winds into three parts, the first one is the planetary wind, whose effect is over the planet. The magnitude is higher. But when we discuss seasonal or regional winds, one of the most important seasonal winds, regional winds that comes to our mind, especially people living in the Indian subcontinent, is the monsoon. Yes, we call India a subcontinent because our culture are quite homogeneous in nature. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, we all have similar culture. That culture is actually driven by this monsoons. Yes, that is why our cultures are quite similar when we compare with each other. Nepal and India's culture, India and Bangladeshi culture, Sri Lanka and Indian culture, India and Pakistani culture, in terms of multiple aspects, it's similar because of similar climatic condition, homogeneity in a particular type of climatic condition. And this particular climatic condition is actually driven by the monsoons. So India is a subcontinent because of the monsoonal factor. We have homogeneity in multiple aspects because of monsoons. So it is imperative that we learn what monsoons are all about. Yes? Yes or not? So if somebody asks you, what do you know about the concept of monsoon? What will you say? What will be the answer? Yes? How will you define monsoons? Adyasha? Yes? Anyone? I'm opening the floor. Anyone can answer the question. So, Adyasha is saying that monsoonal winds are a type of winds, sir, which have seasonal reversal, which change their direction with the change in season. Absolutely correct. It comes from an, yes, Satya? It, yes. So, when we understand the concept of monsoon, we have to understand the etymology of the word monsoon, from where the term has come. So, it comes from an Arabic word mausin. It comes from an Arabic word mausin, which means reversal. So, monsoons are those winds which reverse their direction when there is a change in season. In a simple manner, for a layman, we can define it like that. So when scientists started studying the monsoons, there were multiple aspects which they could not understand. Yes, they could not understand multiple aspects of what? The monsoons. Let us understand what those aspects are. So the aspects which we wanted to understand from the perspective of a layman in terms of how the monsoons are operating, how the monsoon is actually working, how this phenomenon is working, there are multiple things which we could not understand. One is the branching of monsoon. Second is the unpredictability. Third being the failure. And the most important one, ये तो उसके बाद है, सबसे important, the reason behind the reversal in direction. Adyasha just mentioned few minutes back that there is a reversal in the direction of wind with season. So लोगों ने पूछा कि भाई, if there is a reversal in direction of wind, what is the reason behind the reversal in direction? Can you tell me what is the reason behind? So there were multiple scientists who could not tell at the outset, but there were multiple concepts wherein they tried to give this particular answer. So the first concept which we learn about is the Halley's concept. The Halley's concept. That was the first theory which was available to the people to understand why exactly the winds are changing their direction after a certain period of time. So he gave a thermal concept. Let me explain. Let's say we are in the summer months. Winter months. As per Halley, Halley says that during the summer months, the land mass of India gets extremely heated up. In comparison, the water is not as heated up as the land. I repeat, he says that the land is heated up higher than the water. We learned about what? We learned about the thermal anomaly when we were learning about temperature. You remember? Land holding on to the temperature, water dissipating the heat. We learned it. Yes, exactly. Let's use that concept. So he says that in the summer months, the land gets heated up higher. The water is not as heated up as compared to the land, so which results in a pressure difference. So the land becomes lower pressure and the water becomes higher pressure, resulting in movement of winds towards the land. So he says that during the summer months, the land is at a lower pressure when compared with the water, resulting in the winds blowing from the water towards the land. So these are onshore winds. Since they travel over the oceans, they bring in moisture and they result in precipitation. So that is the reason behind monsoons. It may look vague from your perspective, but that is what was given. When he talks about the winter months, he says that the Indian landmass during the winter months is colder than the water here. So this is warmer, this is colder. So resulting in this being higher pressure, this at a lower pressure. When we compare the winter months, the land and water, the land is colder than the water, resulting in the movement of wind towards the water. So these are offshore winds. Since it is moving from the land, it is improbable that there will be rain. So he is saying that there is a temperature difference, thermal gradient present between Indian landmass and the oceans nearby, which result in the shift in direction, change in direction. Did you understand what I just told? Are you able to comprehend what I just told? He is saying that these winds are nothing but enlarged versions of land breeze and sea breeze. But tell me one thing, do you find this theory plausible? Do you find this theory something which can be taken into utmost seriousness? Absolutely not. India is extremely heterogeneous in terms of its topography. You do not possess a homogeneous pressure profile in India, neither in the winter months nor in the summer months. So when you do not have a homogeneous pressure profile both in the summers and the winters, how do you think we can say all these things are happening? People in Delhi go to Shimla, Manali in the months of June because it's very heated up in Delhi. Yes, even Chandigarh also. But Manali में काफी pleasant रहता है. They go to Uttarakhand, Nainital, काफी pleasant रहता है. So when within a 300, 400 kilometers gap, there is so much of variation in terms of temperature. Do you think India as a whole land mass, can it maintain a similar type of pressure profile which he is saying? That the entire land mass will be a huge chunk of low pressure or a huge chunk of high pressure during winters? Absolutely not. So this theory was not bought in by people. He gave his theory, but it was taken with a pinch of salt. ठीक है सर, आपने बोल दिया, इट्स ओके, बट मॉनसून के रिवर्सल का कारण लैंड और वाटर के बीच में जो थर्मल ग्रेडियंट है वो नहीं है, और कोई कारण हो सकता है. आप और ढूंढिए, तो there was one more man. He gave another concept related but more plausible, more acceptable to the masses, and maybe that is what was accepted universally as the reason behind the monsoonal reversal, the reversal of the direction of winds. So we will learn about the second concept called what? It is called the Flohn's ITCZ concept. You can write down Flohn's ITCZ concept. Flohn gave a theory which was more valid, more acceptable, because what he told looked more scientific. Okay, I'll just tell you one. Remember, we had learned in the previous classes about the apparent movement of sun. When we talked about apparent movement of sun, we discussed that sun is moving between the tropic of Capricorn to Tropic of Cancer. Yes, we discussed, right? The apparent movement of Sun from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer. So the Sun is here at the Tropic of Capricorn on the 22nd of December. It is on the equator on 21st March. It is over the Indian landmass on 21st June. Again it comes to the south. Again it is over the equator on 21st September. So the period when the Sun is over the tropics, it is called solstice. So when it is over the Tropic of Cancer, 21st June, we call it as summer solstice. Already discussed all these points. I'm just reminding you all. And when it is over the Tropic of Capricorn, we call it as winter solstice. And these two events are called equinoxes. Yes, they are called equinoxes. Now, let us understand this particular thing. How we are taking this apparent movement of Sun into consideration to understand the monsoonal process. We have to understand the monsoonal process by how? By understanding the apparent movement of Sun. Let's see. It is the month of April. The Sun is somewhere here, just north of equator. Let's say this is the equator. Yes, the month of April. That means the ITCZ is located somewhere in the Indian Ocean, south of the Indian Peninsula, in the month of April. So आपको तो already पता है, these are the northeast trade winds, these are the southeast trade winds converging here. Yes, when? The month of April. Now, let us take another temporal period. This is the month of April. Now let's come to May. May is somewhere here. So the areas which were receiving northeast trade winds will not be receiving northeast trade winds anymore because the ITCZ has shifted towards the north, towards the Indian Peninsula. So देखिए, ideally this should be the yes, ideally this should happen. This is the ideal condition. That's this is the intertropical convergence zone. Yes, great. Now let us come to the month of June. June, the ITCZ is very well placed over the Indian landmass, the Gangetic Plain, the ITCZ. So, the southeast trade winds, which ideally would have gone in this direction towards Somalia, towards the Arabian Peninsula, they are attracted by the ITCZ because ITCZ is a low pressure zone. It's a huge low pressure zone over the Indian landmass. Thus, the southeast trades deflect towards the Indian landmass and transform themselves as southwest monsoons. So, the region wherein it takes a shift, we call it as masculine high. I'll explain in some time how it is formed. So this we can call it as Indian low, because it's a low pressure zone over the Indian landmass, over the Indian Gangetic plain. So I'll repeat what I just told, that the ITCZ is located over the Indian landmass, resulting in the creation of a huge low pressure zone over India. This low pressure zone attracts the southeast trade winds, which ideally would have gone towards Africa, Somalia, Arabia, whose direction mein jana, they get deflected towards the Indian peninsula and they are rechristened as southwest monsoons. So it is the southeast trade winds which get deflected and are rechristened as southwest monsoon. So now when somebody asks you what is the reason behind this deflection, what will you say? It is the position of the ITCZ which results in this shift. Now, again, देखो, this particular thing would have gone till here because the ITCZ is located here. इसके north में you will see northeast trade winds. Now, let us take a temporal leap again. We are going to the month of July. July, it is somewhere here. So the southeast trades which got transformed in southwest monsoon will only be able to come till here, and northeast trades start coming in the month of August. It is somewhere here. So the northeast trades take a further leap and southeast take a southward backseat. In the month of September, the northeast will move clearly towards the equator and the southeast will remain at the south of the equator. So don't you see that there is the southeast trade winds which got transformed into southwest monsoon is taking a slow retreat because of the southward movement of the ITCZ? Yes or not? मैं आपको एक छोटा एग्जांपल देता हूं. एक दुश्मन आगे आया है, आप ही के सामने खड़ा है, बट उसका पीछे वाला जो रिप्लेसमेंट है वो बहुत वीक है, तो वो धीरे धीरे पीछे जाने लग गया, तो आप धीरे धीरे आगे चलने लग जाओगे. यस और नॉट? सो इट इज नॉट दैट the winds are changing their direction. Absolutely not. It is that this particular place which had a particular type of wind coming in at what point in time now receives another wind coming from an opposite direction. वो हवा अपना डायरेक्शन चेंज नहीं कर रहा है, वो साउथ की तरफ मूव करता है, वो और आगे नहीं आ पा रहा है, उसके बदले नॉर्थ से विंड्स आ रही हैं. सो वही एरिया जो जून के महीने में साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून के इफेक्ट में था, इन द मंथ ऑफ जुलाई is now under the impact of northeast trades. You getting my point? So it is the movement of the ITCZ, it is the movement of the sun which is responsible for the retreat of the southwest monsoon and the coming forward of or coming towards the south of northeast trades. So this particular theory given by Flohn would actually explain the reason behind the reversal in direction. I hope everybody understood that. Yes or not? Anyone? Any questions? Any doubts? Anything you want to ask? Or should we move forward? Yes. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. but it is quite far when you compare that particular. It is somewhere here. The desert is somewhere here. And ITCZ, not only ITCZ, I'll explain you there are other factors also which is responsible for pulling this southeast trade wind. Just give me 2 minutes, I'll explain. Yes. Adyasha, you were also asking. Wait, I'll just explain. Just have it. So, from the first theory, Halley's concept, he was telling thermally it is happening, which we negated. Flohn said it is ITCZ which is moving, because of which these things are happening. We accepted. But we went 2 steps further. This gave the reason behind the reversal, but it could not tell about branching. It could not give you the reason behind so much of magnitude which pulls this southeast, the magnitude or the unpredictability which. So these things, and also the failure. These 3 things could not be explained by this particular theory. So scientists studied further. There was an expedition in the 1970s called as the MONEX, Monsoon Expedition, which gave a very, very important factor about the monsoonal process. Let us understand that. MONEX, Monsoon Expedition. MONEX gave the concepts of vortex and also the role of Tibet. Okay, it gave the concept of vortex as well as the role of Tibet. Let us first understand the role of Tibet. Tibet is located on the leeward side of the Himalayas. It is an extremely cold area. It's a cold desert. When we understand from a climatological point of view, it is a cold desert. Hardly any trees, hardly any vegetation, absolutely nothing. So it's a very cold area. But if we were to understand from the ITCZ point of view, this is the ITCZ over the North India. The northern part of the ITCZ or the northern fringe of ITCZ has some portion which lies somewhere near the Himalayas as well as the Tibetan plateau. So Tibet, which ideally would have been a very, very cold area, due to the impact of the direct sun's rays, due to the impact of the ITCZ, gets extremely heated up. It gets extremely heated up. When it gets extremely heated up, it becomes a zone of low pressure. तो आपको कौन खींच रहा था अब तक? ITCZ का लो प्रेशर. उसके साथ साथ आपके लिए उनका भाई आ गया तिब्बतन लो. तो दोनों मिलके they are attracting the winds, and because of both of them, you see the magnitude of pulling is very high, and this results in the deflection of southeast trade winds into southwest monsoon. Let me just draw a 3-dimensional diagram for you so that you can understand what exactly is happening. The Gangetic Plain, this is the Indian Plateau, this is the coastal plain, this is the Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean. We just told that the sun is here, directly over the Indian landmass directly over 23.5 degree north, Tropic of Cancer, but it's a huge zone of low pressure because of which it has impact on Tibet. So Tibet bhi garam ho jata hai, it acts as a huge chunk of low pressure. Yes, when there is a low pressure in a particular area, you tell me what exactly happens to the wind. The wind subsides or it rises? Yes, the winds rise because when a fluid is heated up, the molecules expand. When they expand, they start rising. So here also, the wind starts rising from here. And as I had already explained in the previous classes about this, it will diverge at the tropopause level towards the northern pole and the southern pole. So it gets diverged. Diverge, okay, it moves towards the southern hemisphere, towards the southern pole. When it is moving towards the south pole, at one point in time it gets cold, it gets cooler, and when it becomes cold, it becomes heavy. It becomes heavy and it starts subsiding. So it subsides in the Indian Ocean. It subsides in the Indian Ocean. So the zone wherein it is subsiding, we call it as Mascarene High, which you were mentioning few minutes back. Now this is a high pressure zone. This is the Indian low driven by both Tibet and the ITCZ. So this wind now will start moving in the surface and it will be called as southwest monsoon. So this is known as tropical easterly jet stream. So a new cell is created which we call as the modified Halley cell. I'm repeating. The air rises from Tibet. It diverges. When it moves towards the pole, it subsides because it becomes cold. So this is the thermally indirect pressure zone. Yes. So it subsides, it becomes heavy, and due to gravitation, it is pulled down. So wherein it reaches, we call it as Mascarene High. So this is a high pressure zone, this is a low pressure zone. So the wind which had risen from there now starts to move towards the Indian landmass. So that is what is the what? Southwest monsoon. So it is kind of a cyclic process. Now if we were to understand this from two-dimensional points, it will rise somewhere from here. Tibet is somewhere here. It will start rising. Let me just. This is Tibet. It will start rising from here. It will subside here along with the southeast trades. This air, all of them will start moving towards Indian Peninsula and will be rechristened as Southwest Monsoon. So एक ऊपर से आ रहा है, एक नीचे से आ रहा है, दोनों मिलके मॉनसून बन के आपकी तरफ आते हैं. I hope everybody is clear with regards to this particular thing. Yes, how many of you understood? किसी को कोई शक, सवाल, शंका कुछ भी है तो पूछ लीजिए. I hope everybody understood what I just told. So if somebody asks you the reason behind the pulling up of the southeast trade winds, what will you say? Yes, What exactly will be your answer? Adyasha, what will be your answer? How will you answer this particular question? Yes? What will be your answer? Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, we learned about the role of Tibet. We will also learn about another terminology, vortex. Vortex from a traditional sense means an area, a smaller area of low pressure. बड़ा वाला होता है तो हम बेल्ट बोल देते हैं, छोटा वाला है, not that great in terms of its quantum. So it is smaller area of low pressure. When we have smaller areas of low pressure, we call them as vortexes. So MONEX gave a theory called the vortexes, which explained one particular factor that is known as branching of monsoon. It explained branching of monsoon. ठीक, so हम समझते हैं कि ये vortex क्या है. Let's understand. When the ITCZ concept I just explained, ITCZ जब सूरज आपके ऊपर होता है directly, what happens is it creates the low pressure zone, the ITCZ or the thermal equator. Yes, but क्या ITCZ really move करता है? नहीं. क्या होता है? When the sun starts moving apparently, there is creation dissipation of low pressure zones. आपकी जो परछाई होती है, परछाई आपके साथ मूव नहीं करता है, नया क्रिएट होता है, वो आपके साथ धीरे धीरे मूव करता है. एंड द प्रोसेस इज सो फास्ट दैट इट लुक्स एज इफ इट इज मूविंग कंटिन्यूअसली. जो हमारे पुराने जमाने के जो कार्टून्स हुआ करते थे, दे यूज्ड टू ड्रॉ मल्टीपल डायग्राम्स and the frames used to be used in such a manner so that you will feel as if they are moving, but in reality they were pictures, thousands of pictures which were used as different segments of the cartoon. Similarly, ITCZ doesn't move. When the sun is above a particular area, there is the creation. When it moves north or south, there is the dissipation. So there is creation, dissipation of low pressure zone from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. When there is creation and dissipation of low pressure zones, sometimes in certain areas you will see there is a residual low pressure zone, रह जाता है वो. And these residual smaller low pressure zones are called as what? Vortexes. So from the Indian context, when the ITCZ is moving from here till northern India, two residual low pressure zones are created. One is the Utkal vortex, the other is the Malabar vortex. And because of the creation of Utkal vortex and Malabar vortex, the winds which ideally would have gone like this, now start moving like this. The winds which would have gone in this direction now come in this direction. So the first break of monsoons always happens somewhere in Kerala because of the Malabar vortex. And some portion of the Bay of Bengal branch is pulled towards itself by the Utkal vortex. So Utkal vortex and Malabar vortex explain the branching of monsoons, which the scientists could not explain at that point in time. So vortex are nothing but residual portions of the ITCZ, smaller in area, which attracts these monsoonal winds and are responsible for the branching of monsoons. So till now we understood the reason, we also understood the magnitude, we also understood the branching. But one particular aspect which we could not understand was the failure. सक्सेस के कई बाप होते हैं बट फेलियर का कोई बाप नहीं, तो इस बाप को भी ढूंढने में बहुत टाइम लग गया कि भाई मानसून फेल किस लिए होता है, why does the monsoon fail? So then the scientists gave a concept which was known as El Nino Southern Oscillation. El Nino Southern Oscillation, which explained the failure of monsoons. Which explained the failure of monsoons. This El Nino, I will be, you want me to explain it now? Or should I be explaining it after I teach you oceanography? Because we have not reached till oceanography. So it would be better if I explain El Nino Southern Oscillation after we reach that oceanography, ocean currents wala part, then we will understand and will try to correlate that with this particular thing. Okay. Any questions you have? Anything till what was taught? Do you have any questions to ask? You can ask. See, I'll tell you one particular thing. Just understand, since we have not done the ocean currents part, जस्ट इतना समझने की कोशिश कीजिए कि जितना मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ विंड आपके पास आने वाला था वो आपके पास नहीं आ रहा है, वो कहीं और चले जा रहा है. So that is what is the thing. It should have ideally come to you, but it is not coming to you because the winds are moving to some other low pressure zone. आप ये समझ लीजिए, जस्ट फ्रॉम अ लेमैन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, पहले आप अकेले ग्राहक थे और एक ही गोलगप्पा वाला था.